In today's Take It Day, I want to talk about the Los Angeles Clippers. I want to talk about two things they need to learn from in the Warriors' loss last night. Now, before we go forward, please like, subscribe, also hit the notification bell just so you can get the newest and the bonus content first. We put out content every day so you won't miss any content here. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into this. Now, last night ended up as a last possession game, 115-113. The Warriors won. Very close game. Some big shots were hitting this game. It was back and forth. In the beginning, it looked like the Warriors would just, annihilate with the Clippers based upon the way they were shooting, especially Stephen Curry. I mean, he had a great night, 45 points. Big shout out to him for that. And, but overall, it was a good game because, the Clippers had made a comeback right before the half ended. I mean, it's like the Warriors were up 19 in the second quarter. And then when the second quarter ended before halftime, the Clippers were up by 1 point, So it was really, really a roller coaster game up to that point. And then you saw in the second half where, the Clippers stayed afloat and they took the lead as well again. And the Warriors came back and took the lead. And it was kind of like a back and forth affair, like almost like a heavyweight fight to a degree. And the Warriors prevailed at the end. So, you have to give Warriors credit. Shout out to them. They're 2-0. They did beat both LA teams, and that definitely stands out for them, especially not having the services of James Wiseman or or lack thereof a better player on the team. The second best player in Klay Thompson. So, I mean, it speaks volume about how good of a team they can be and how good that Steve Kerr has his team playing so far and the chemistry he had them playing with. And they're a very young team, and doing so is very impressive. Got to give them credit. But the two things I noticed, or the two things that I feel like the Clippers should learn from in this, in last night's, in the loss against the Warriors, one of them should be start fast. They have to start games faster. I know it's their first game of the season, and it was on the road. It was a tough one, but at the same time, you have to start faster. I mean, the Warriors jump out, to a decent lead in the first half. They were up by like 19 in the first half, as I stated earlier. And you just can't be down like that. You can't, find yourself down by 19, 20 points in a away game when you don't have the home crowd behind you and you're mustering up a lot of energy just to, get back into the game. You might not have enough energy to finish the game just because you're putting so much energy just to, stay afloat. And that's something that the Clippers have to, address, because even last year in the playoffs, it was the same thing. They were down 0-2 in every series because they would find themselves giving up big leads or starting slow sometime, or, lagging on defense where the other team was just taking advantage. And I think that's kind of what the Warriors did, even though Steph had a great night. But it was a lot of good ball movement with the Warriors, just as it was the other night when they played the Lakers. So it's one of those things where the Clippers, you're undermanned. You're even more undermanned, not only because you don't have Kawhi Leonard, but you don't have Serge Ibaka, and you miss Nicholas Batum. And it's just, when you're undermanned like that, starting fast is imperative. It's getting your confidence up while the game is going on in action is imperative, because sometimes it could drive you to victory rather than, starting off slow and trying to make a comeback on the road with a team that's got, one of the, if not the best shooter of all time on it. It's going to make it very difficult for your chances of winning that game, especially a game, like I said, in Golden State out there, in the Bay Area, where they're heavily loved and everything like that. It's going to be hard with those fans, trying to win in that arena and everything. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be, tough if you don't show up and bring your A game and start fast and, put your foot on their throat and put pressure on them. Because, see, that's the thing. The Clippers needed to really start fast to put pressure on the Warriors, because the Warriors have a lot of young talent on there. So it's a lot of things they don't know. Winning intangibles they don't know. They play off energy and youth. That's pretty much what they're playing off of. They're young. They can play all night. They don't need much rest, and the energy they have is really carrying them. And that's what keeps the Warriors afloat. Their energy, because they don't have all the experience in the world. They still got Draymond, which he contributes in, his own way. Plus, they still got Steph, but without Klay Thompson, it neutralizes a lot of things that they want to do offensively. So it's like starting fast against teams like this, more likely you can pull the victory out and get it rather than starting slow and, you see the results. So it's only one game. It's no need to panic or anything like that, but it's definitely something for the Clippers to, look into as far as their other games in this season, because they're going to have to start fast because these other teams got a lot of talent, just like the Clippers do. And it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. So the other thing that I want to point out is that they need to learn from in this game is to be more aggressive. Because when they played last night against the Warriors, I feel like the Clippers were being the Clippers again, settling for a lot of jump shots, even though they hit a lot of big ones. I'm not going to say they didn't, but as the season goes on, those shots might not fall the same because you don't have the talent around you to get a lot of high percentage shots, or maybe not that, but maybe just the fact that taking too many jump shots is going to hurt you anyway, because if the other team is being more aggressive, getting to the paint, drawing fouls, getting 3-point plays the old-fashioned way, and you're just living by the 3-point line and you're not on that night, you're missing a lot of shots, well, then that's going to cause you to be behind in a lot of games. And what happens when you're behind a lot of games, sometimes you really just don't recover. And that's something the Clippers don't want, because you're already shorthanded. You don't know when Kawhi's coming back. You're really not for certain when Serge Ibaka's coming back. And when he do, you're not even sure what Serge Ibaka you're going to get. And by the way, Zubac played pretty decent last night, for the most part. And, it's just those little things like that. And like I said, last night you didn't have Nicholas Batum. Hopefully he'll be back next game or, whenever it is. But this is what I'm saying. When you're shorthanded, you have to start off fast and you have to be aggressive. Taking jump shots is good, but if you see the first few jump shots for your team fall and everything is looking like it's one of those nights where we can't miss or something like that, then, the jump shot is definitely evident. But I think the Clippers just need to be more aggressive. Like, Paul George, he did end up with 29 points, but he had 22 points at halftime. So that means he only scored 6 points in the second half, or 7 points in the second half. You see what I'm saying? He has to be more aggressive than that. The team has to be more aggressive. Terrence Mann, I like the way he plays, and he hit some big shots last night, but I like to see him drive to the paint a little bit more. I like to see, a couple other guys, play, go to the paint a little bit more, draw more fouls, put the opposing teams, defenders in foul trouble. Get yourself in position to, not only win, but to secure a win, beat a team by 10, 20 points, a team that you can beat by 10, 20 points. So, of course, they had a few people struggle last night. Marcus Morris had his woes a little bit, but he did hit some big shots, and Reggie Jackson struggled, but he did hit some big shots too. But and I don't think that's going to happen every night, them struggling. But I'm just saying, when you look at it in its totality, starting off fast and being more aggressive, going to the paint is going to help the Clippers a whole lot more going forward, because they don't have the luxury of having their best player there who can make up for a lot of their issues. Because if you notice, when Kawhi Leonard plays, he does a little bit of everything. Jump shot, but he also mixes it in and go into paint, draw fouls, get to the free throw line, put pressure on defenses, and make them respect him from all angles of the floor. And that's exactly what the Clippers as a whole is going to have to do without Kawhi Leonard being there. Hopefully Kawhi Leonard's coaching and talking that everybody around the Clippers organization say that he's doing, it's going to rub off on them, because they're going to need that. Because if they go in these games just thinking they're going to outshoot everybody, well, they're going to have a rude awakening, because a lot of other teams got talent too. But you have to be aggressive and put them in foul trouble and put yourself in position to get ahead and, secure victories. If you're not going to do that and play with that mentality, a lot of games will slip through the Clippers' hands, and they might find themselves somewhere in the 7th, 8th seed, maybe even the play-in tournament, because, hey, like I said, it's a lot of talent out there. And, the East is getting a little bit better. The East has gotten better. The West has always been a tough outing, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of talent out there in the West. So, the Clippers going to have to, pull the band together and try to make some things happen. But hey, that's my take on the situation. Leave any comments in the comment section. And as always, we can engage as we usually do. And let me know what you think about the situation. Do you think the Clippers are okay where they are? Do you see any other things they might need to improve on? Let me know. But leave any comments as always. And hey, Cali out.